This conference will now be recorded.
All right. So before I move forward, one thing that I wanted to let's say just talk about, guys, is that about the Friday recording. Like, I think Friday recording was not provided, and there was some technical issue. I also checked the same thing. The recording was not available really out there, so we weren't really able to provide that. So any questions that I can take from that particular session? So we were talking about how to upload multiple blobs inside that particular container, and we were doing a revision of how to let's say write the entire code as such. So any questions in let's say that particular area? Anything that is let's say you're trying and not probably getting there in that particular let's say area out there. Any questions that I can take there? Any questions? Any questions there? Any questions there? Did you all try uploading those files? Did you all try writing the code? Did you all try that out? Is it working for you? We did nesting of files. Exactly. We did nesting of files. Reason being we had to upload multiple files out there. Right. So did you all try that? Question is that did you all try it out? Multiple containers up to that one and multiple blobs out there. What is the error that you're getting while you're uploading multiple blobs? The question is that see there's a question and there's an answer for that, right? So you'll have to ask me something and then I'll have to tell something out there, right? So what exactly is the issue that you're facing with that particular session so that I can address that and then we can move forward.
Hi Kiran,
Good, please.
how to upload the multiple images? Can you please explain once?
Again,
Actually,
how to
I have tried, but I'm
okay.
getting error. Cannot find the file path.
Mhm. Getting the error cannot find the
Actually,
file path.
yeah. Actually, I have sent mail to you.
I okay. I think I've replied to your email as well. But yes, I'll
Yeah.
look at that. I can let's reply back to that particular email again.
Okay.
But yes, I can give let's say a quick overview of the same thing out there.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyone else who's facing the issue there? Invalid JSON primitive, which means that your JSON file syntactically is not correct. Your JSON file that you're writing is so when you're getting that error when you're doing a convert from JSON, it gives you an error telling it's an invalid JSON primitive and all these things, which means that your JSON file is not correct. The JSON file that you have written is not right. So some commas or somewhere you're missing something out there in the JSON. That's what the error is trying to tell. Hmm. You'll get the data because you're not trying to convert anything out there. You're just getting raw content. So whatever you put inside it, you'll get a raw content out here. You'll get whatever it is. So for example, this is the error or this is what you might be facing out there. Let me open my VS Code and let me show you what exactly that you're trying to you're let's say struggling out there. So this is a JSON. Though it's an ARM template, this is a JSON file, right? This is a JSON syntax. If I remove a comma here or if I do anything as such, the JSON is not correct. The JSON is syntactically this is not correct. How do I know that? VS Code will tell me in let's say it's now loading the templates and all these things. So it's let's say trying to load up and all that stuff. But once it loads up, it should tell me that you know what there's an error in line number 10. Or just copy this entire file. Just copy the entire content. Go to Google, say JSON lint is lint. The first website called jasonlint.com. Just go there, place all your file here, say validate JSON. Getting the error telling that the JSON file is not correct and all that stuff. Now the point is that PowerShell doesn't really understand whether your JSON file is correct or not when you do a get hyphen content. Meaning when I say a get hyphen content and I'll say path out here and give the path to that particular JSON file. So let me see where I have stored that one. Let me go there and say this one. I think yeah, this is the one. So if I take this path and say storage account.json, you'll get the content because PowerShell is just reading a file. You are not telling PowerShell to convert something or do something out there, right? You're just reading a file. But the problem happens when you're trying to convert it from a format into PS language. Reason being, PowerShell is telling, okay, fine, this is JSON. So let me take that particular JSON, let me take all that commas out and let me give you a JSON body or let me give you a PS object out there. That's where the issue comes. So when you do this, meaning you're telling PowerShell that, you know what, this is a JSON, but the JSON that you have given is invalid. The JSON that you have given has a lot of errors. It's invalid out here. So if I run this command out here, now it's giving me because I have this one, let's say there's just a, let's say a comma that is missing out there. But if you do a lot of errors out there, it'll tell you that, you know what, the JSON is not correct. Sorry, you entered only what, like how did you enter that? So when you said team name, RG name, when I just said say JSON, you're saying team name, okay, team name column, development, okay, okay, second RG. It's missing the quotations out there, so it's missing completely the quotations out here, isn't it? So if I just, you know, try to read this also, let's say this is sample JSON. If in the path, if I take that particular path out here, why where did I sorry, where did I save this? Let's see. If I go into this particular path and paste this out here, sample.json, you will be able to read it. I'm not, let's say, denying that the fact that you will not be able to read it. You will be able to read it because you give anything to PowerShell, it will read it. Even if you give it, let's say, Greek and Latin, it will read it, not a problem. But if you're into trying to convert it, we'll get this error. Reason being, your JSON is not valid. Your JSON is only valid, or your JSON will only be valid when you give them in quotes. The key value pair format that you need to give it, enclosed in quotes. Even if you miss, let's say, one bracket, or even if you miss one comma out there, JSON will start throwing errors as such. So if I now save this file, if I now, let's say, do a convert from, there's no error. Reason being, JSON is valid out there. So if your JSON is invalid, you will get these errors telling that primitive development and all that stuff. Yes. Any questions? Anyone? Any questions? Okay, now the question that I want to ask you all is that should I continue this? Let's see. Yes, fine. Just post that script in the group. I'll post that script in the group. I'll do that. But before I move forward, should I just post that script in the group? Will you all be able to see that script and, let's say, practice it out? Or do you all want me to, let's say, stop the ARM template class, explain the script tree again, and then start with the ARM template? How is it that you want?
No, we just need the script. Good.
You just need the script out there, right? So let me go there. Let me get the script for you. So what am I doing? Let's say I should be having the script. Let me get the script for you all. On this one, let's say automation. So whatever I write, whatever that I do, I just store it everything in this particular, let's say, link out there. So let me see. This is storage account creation. This is multiple containers. Yes, this is the entire script that I do have. This is what we have written. The only thing that I did differently is instead of passing the parameters, I've taken the input from a JSON file. You can take the input from a JSON file, or you can use this particular script to check this out. I'll just copy this out and send it across inside this particular, let's say, chat window. Guys, can you please take this link and post it on the WhatsApp group, please? And once you click on this particular link out here, without any issues, you should directly come here. You can just copy this entire file. You can just copy this entire content out here, and you can just work control A, copy this entire content, get it to your PowerShell, and you can use this particular script out here. But the only thing that you need to do is change these values. See, this is my local system. This is, let's say, my path to the local system out here. So you'll have to change this path, and this is what I'm doing out here. I'm checking the RG, I'm checking the storage, I'm then doing a for each for the containers, creating all the containers out here. And after that, inside this for each, I'm also doing a for each for that particular blob to go ahead and upload the blobs also. So I'm going ahead into the blob, uploading the blobs as well out here. Would this suffice, or should do you all want me to re-explain this once again? Again, I am okay to take the entire class basically and kind of resolve all the doubts out there. I do not have an issue with that. So any questions that I can address before I move forward? And someone, let's say, posted the email, right? So I'll reply back to the email today. I think I missed that out. I'll reply back to that particular email out there. Because you have posted your script, so I downloaded that script, but I did not really execute that out. So I'll execute that out today, and I'll just let you know what are the errors that are there, so that you can correct the same thing out there.
Hi, Kiran.
Sorry, just a second. I'll just come back to your question, guys. Only just come back to your question. I was just taking a question offline. Just give me a second. Yes, go ahead. No, just a second. When you say how to change the network access, mm, okay, in a JSON file. When you say network access, what exactly do you mean by that? Hmm. Right. Mm. Correct. Correct. So, firstly, before I tell you how to change it in JSON file, I'll have to tell you what is a network. I firstly have to explain what is a network. Now, if I address that question, a lot of people will get confused because I did not explain what is virtual networks. I did not do all those things out there, right? We'll come down to that, but you have to hold for, let's say, about 2 or 3 classes out there. Definitely yes. I will definitely tell yes. In organization level, if you create 100 storage accounts out there, each and every storage account will sit in a private network only, for sure. I'll also tell you how to create that in a private network using automations and all these things out. Mhm. Correct. So that's exactly that I'm telling you. That's exactly what I'm telling you. See, the first thing is that to answer that question out there to you, do you understand the concept of virtual networks? Do you understand the concept of CID or address blocks? So, firstly, I'll have to explain that one to you before to tell you how do you change that into a private network. Because when you say private, right, there is something called network out there. No, why did I? Yeah. There is something called network out here, right? I'll have to talk about all those networks and all these things out. So firstly, I'll tell you what is a network. Then we'll move into, let's say, telling that, okay, fine. How do you enhance networking on your storage account? Why do you need that and all these things out there? Okay. No, it's VS Code and Visual Studio that you're asking about, right? So two different softwares. This is a Visual Studio. The violet color one that you're seeing on my screen. This is a Visual Studio. This is a very big software actually. Now this particular software is used by developers to write code like .NET, Java, and all that stuff to write code out here. VS Code it is possible, but you need, let's say, multiple extensions out there and etc. VS Code is a lighter version of this particular software. It's a lighter version. This is a very heavy one out here. We developers we use VS Code. We as DevOps engineers, right? We don't even have, let's say, 1 or 2% of work with, let's say, Visual Studio out there. So we usually use VS Code to go ahead write our ARM templates, write our PowerShell scripts and all these things. We use VS Code out here. in VS Code, in Visual Studio. You can use it. You just need to download something known as PowerShell extension out here as well. You can use here as well, but it's not really worth it. Meaning, as a DevOps engineer, because this software that you see right on my screen, that will occupy around 12 to 15 GB of your laptop space. It's a very big software. It's a very big, let's say, tool out there. It's not really worth to, let's say, go ahead and download this out. But I'll also show you how to download this and in which demo you need to download it, and where do you need to uninstall it and all these things out here. Yes, someone online had a question. Let me take that too.
Hi, Kiran.
Hmm.
Actually, you shared the link, right?
Right.
That's the not link for that Friday class. It's JSON convert from JSON, right?
That's exactly what I was telling you. Is that here, in place of, let's say, giving these particular parameters, please add a convert from JSON. That's what I told you just now. Is that please add a convert from JSON. But if you want a better one, let's see if I have something like that. This is a better one, but this doesn't have, let's say, this only, let's say, tells you until the storage account, let's say, creation out there. In this particular file, what I'm trying to tell you is that in this particular file, let's go into multiple containers. Instead of passing all this one, just pass a file path, give your JSON file out here, convert it, and the rest of the script remains the same. The rest of the script remains the same out here.
Okay, thank you.
Hi Kiran.
Good, please.
Can you explain how to give the file path in that script?
How to give the
Last one,
file path in
last
the
line.
script?
Yeah, last
Uh,
line for each.
the for each out here. So if you look at the for
Yeah.
each, so if you look at this particular names out here, it says get child item, the path, the file path, and then I'll do one thing. I'll take the script only directly. I'll explain the script and we'll take ARM template tomorrow. We'll push it one day, not a problem. Because it looks like a lot of people have these questions out there. So let's start writing the script once again and let's see how to, let's say, approach this out. So let's start from there. Let's go into PowerShell. Let's delete all these things out. This is good enough. And let's start writing the JSON out here. So our JSON looks something like this, right? So let me open the JSON that I had. Instead of writing one, I'll open one. Let's open this out. And let's see, this is 18 file handling. I think this is the file that I was, let's say, looking at. And this is what I had. And this is what I had telling multiple storages and all that stuff. So let me take this entire file, go into my PowerShell ISA, which we know about. So let's check this out. I have data. I'm saying get content, the path of this particular file, which is atm something config.json, convert from JSON. So if I just go ahead, execute just this line and look at the data, I have storage config inside which I have the team name and all these things out, which is this part, storage config, and then I have the team name, RG name, storage account name, container name, and all these things out here. Like I have all these things, let's say, listed out here, and all these contents are coming to me in the form of a variable called data. If I do a data dot storage config, I have all the data here. I have all the data converted in a nice format so that I can start working with this particular data out here. So now if you look at this, this is what I'm doing. In something called object, I'm just going ahead into the object and I'm saying, okay, fine, this is data.storage config out here. And I'm storing this out in a variable called as object out here. So if I do a dollar object as well, I'll get the same content. I have the team name, I have, let's say, the containers that need to be created, I have the storage account and etc. And after that, since this is an array, I'm doing a for each loop telling value in, let's say, something called dollar object as such. And here I'm writing all the, let's say, key value pairs, telling what is the team name, RG name, storage name, location, and all these things out here. Checking, checking whether the storage, just a second. Okay. Checking whether the storage account exists, sorry, resource group exists. If not, I am creating that particular resource group out here. Ashok, do you have a question? Do you want to take this class? All right, so I'm going into, let's say, the if loop out here. If the RG status is coming as a null value, I'm saying that the RG is not existing, and I'm going ahead and creating the same thing out there. Else, I'm just telling RG with this particular name already exists. So if an else condition out there that I'm giving, and then I have a storage status wherein I'm checking the existence of a storage account. And if that particular storage account doesn't exist, I'm creating this out. Finally, since I have multiple containers to, let's say, go ahead and work with, I'm saying name in value dot container name, and I am doing a write host, getting the context of my storage account, which is, let's say, something like context out here. And then I'm saying get hyphen az storage container, and I'm passing the context value, and I'm saying error action is silently continue to go ahead create multiple containers when I'm creating multiple storage accounts out here. Agreed? Now, if I say container status is equal to null, then I'm saying there's no container. I'll go ahead and create this out. So I'm creating the containers until here. This is the for each loop to go ahead and, let's say, create all my containers out here. Now, this is a nested, this is, let's say, a nesting concept, a loop inside a loop, meaning I have multiple containers. So I'm taking loop inside a loop out here. And once I do that, now the question was, how do I upload a file? How do I, let's say, go and upload a file out here? Let's give a file path, which I want to, let's say, upload. And let me go into that particular, let's say, path out here. And let me see this one. And I have, let's say, multiple files here, multiple image files out here. So I'll say this is my file path. Now what I'll do is inside the loop, after I'm done creating the containers, this is where I'm done creating the containers. I'll now start uploading the blobs. I'll now start uploading the blobs out here. So what I'll do inside my script is I'll say cd, change the directory into dollar file path. Wherever my files are, I'm just making a change directory into that particular file out there. And now I'm telling dollar names, the file names is equal to get hyphen tailed item. And I'm saying path, and I'm saying it is dollar file path out here. So I'm just going inside that particular file path. I'm saying please get me all that particular files that are there. So if I just go ahead run this command out here, I just say go ahead take this command, just barely give that particular file path. And if I say dollar names, I have all these things out here called name is, let's say, sample1.jpg and all these things out here. Now I only want to filter files with .jpg extension, only a .jpg extension. So what I'll do, I will put a pipeline here, and I'll say where hyphen object dollar underscore dot name is like star dot jpg. I'm now getting multiple files here. So if I now run this out, I just get all that particular sample files. This is what I need. Now what I'll do is I know that these are multiple files. This is not single blob out here. It's multiple files out here. So I'll say for each. I'm again using a for each loop within the major or within the parent for each loop out here. I'm saying where for each dollar name in dollar names And now I'm saying set hyphen az storage blob content hyphen the file. I'll just say it is dollar name. It's coming from here dot name. Just the name of the file is what I'm getting. Hyphen the container. Now if you look at this one, let's see then for each name in the container out here, value dot container name. I'll just go ahead, take the name of the container from here. Let's see where the name of the container is coming. Okay, this is the container. So what I'll do one thing. This is value dot container name. Okay, I have a container array here, right? So what I'll do is I'll just copy everything here. This is the for each. Let's cut this out. We'll just go into this particular for each loop out here. And this is for each. This is the if loop, and this is the else condition. And I'll paste it here. The reason I'm pasting it here is because my container is not a single container. I have multiple containers and I want to upload all my files into multiple containers out here. And in here, I'll say the container is dollar value dot the container name, whatever is, let's say that I'm taking on the dollar name out here. That's it, which is now the name of the container. Now there are multiple loops. I'll do one thing. This is names. This is, I'll say this is file names. Okay, this is dollar item, and here I'll say it is file names. So here it is dollar item dot name, so that I don't conflict with each other out there. And here I am already iterating over the container name. I'm saying the name, I'm getting the container context, and finally I'll just go ahead and I'll say the context out here is dollar context. Whatever I'm getting inside this loop, I'm getting the dollar context here. I'm just passing the same context to this particular command, and this should work. This is now your command, which goes ahead, checks whether the resource group exists, creates it out, checks whether the storage exists, creates it out, checks whether the container exists, creates out, and also goes ahead and uploads the blobs inside that particular container out here. And this is using this particular, let's say, get content and all that stuff. So I have a content, I have a file path, I have all these things. I'm just, let's say, getting all my data from that particular file out there, and I'm uploading all that data inside that particular container. So I have a parent for each, inside which I have another for each block for container creation. And after the container creation is done, I have another for each block for that particular blob uploading, let's say, content out here. So I'm taking all the blobs and I'm just uploading inside that particular container that I'm creating out here.